A common question I get all the time is, my plants used to bloom, they used to flower, now they're not flowering anymore. It might be lilacs, it might be rhododendrons, and it might even be peonies. What happens is, if your plants don't get enough sun, the sun is what helps produce the flower buds. The sun produces energy for the plants, which is collected through its leaves via photosynthesis. That's the green. And then it helps produce flower buds. But when your plants get too much shade, like this lily, this is a lilium. This lilium should be growing straight up. But if you notice it, it is leaning, falling over, and trying to grow toward the afternoon sun. A couple things to remember. Morning shade, and this is just general. Morning shade is shade. Afternoon sun from 12 o'clock to 7 o'clock is sun. But again, morning sun from 6:30 to 11 or 12 is shade. Morning shade does not provide enough sunlight to get a lot of plants to bloom. So the next question someone asks, well, it used to bloom in my garden. Well, that is when the forest or trees and shrubs that they planted were small. As those trees and shrubs grow, as you see around me here, they produce a lot more foliage, and that blocks the sun. So I'm going to tell you something that you can do to help increase your sun. One of my favorite deer-proof plants is spirea. This is what happens when spirea get enough sun, they set flower buds. This is what happens when it's too shady. So it's a common problem. Do you want to mention, when you're working to opening up your trees and allowing more light to come in, if you have any kind of equipment, like pole saws, pole pruners, loppers, never get close to power lines. I almost hit one time. I forgot the power line was above the crabapple tree. But what you're going to do in your garden, if you don't have enough sun, and this will work for many of us, right around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to stand in the garden, look toward the sun, and see if there's any branches that you can take away. If you look here to my left, you can see where I've limbed up many trees. That's the first thing you do. You start at the bottom and you remove some of the branches, because that's where you have a lot of leaves. I work my way up. If it's not enough, I remove some of the branches that are higher. I don't recommend getting on a ladder. If you need to hire somebody, it's far cheaper. But by opening this up, I have let a lot more light into this area, and by next year, the peonies, the hosta will be growing better, the iris will be producing blooms, and you'll have a beautiful bright shade garden. Last thing I want to mention, a perfect garden is where you have shady areas and sunny areas. We call that bright shade, filtered shade, or dappled shade. And if you have evergreens, there's some evergreens, I'll take the 30 lowest branches off, and then I can plant plants that will flower in my shade garden. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.